Jamie began his career in agriculture as a migrant farm worker, and after 7 years of following the seasons, he founded his own organic farming company on a shoestring. And he's been a vegan since 1975 and raw since 1986. And in addition to his passion for growing dates and gardening, he describes himself as an agrarian activist. So please welcome Jamie.
Hey everybody, thanks a lot for coming to the talk. Like she said, I'm Jamie, and I lead the Life on Jew, or otherwise known as the Date People. We own a date farm down in Southern California. I want to talk about this organic and sustainable food movement we've been watching evolve over the past few years, and the challenges our movement is facing, and also my specialty, which is dates and dates culture. First, let me give you a little bio about myself. People a lot of time ask me, how a guy like me came to be a date farmer? Well, it started back in the late 70s when about time people my age were graduating from college. I went and became a migrant farm worker. And I really liked it a lot. Although this mainstream society looks like kind of the bottom rung of the job market, I really loved it. The reasons were that first I got to travel a lot. I started out on the East Coast, went from Maine to Florida a few times, back and forth, and through the Midwest. And I'm out here in the West Coast, where I went to northern Washington, down to Southern California. Even went to Mexico for a while, where I was an undocumented field worker. And so it was really great. I got to be in the north in the summer, and the south in the winter, and I was surrounded by fresh tree-ripe fruit all times of the year. Wow. And so another thing I liked about it a lot was I was drawn to this idea of becoming a voluntary peasant. And I got to check out the mainstream, live in the country, kind of a fairly simple lifestyle. Another idea I was into was right livelihood, and that is that your work should not be harmful to yourself or to others, and should actually be beneficial to everybody concerned. So another reason I liked it was I got to hang out with all different types of people out there. Although the vast majority are from Mexico, so I got to learn mucho español. And also people from Asia and all countries are out there. But the thing I liked the very most was the absolute freedom that came along with this job. I'd work for 5 or 6 weeks, and you're cut free to go wherever you want to. And I would, I'd have work whenever I got there. So I got to roam like a gypsy all over the place. It was really great. This went on for about 6.5, 7 years. And one day I noticed a date grow that needed some attention, so I contacted the owner. Well, I had $2,000 at the time, so I gave all that money to the landlord for my year's rent. And I started off, when I cleaned the place up, and started my little organic farming company. This was the mid-'80s when organics were really starting to catch on. And so the demand was big, and there wasn't that many growers at that time. So we rented more trees and hired more people to help us, and the whole thing snowballed along with the organic food movement. And 12 years later, we had a whole series of different farms that we had rented, and then we, 1998, we bought our own land just with the money we made growing dates. There was no other really outside income except for what we made growing dates there, and we bought land, planted our own date trees. So that's where we are now. We got some 13-year-old date palms out there with. They're getting pretty good now. It's green leaves started about this high. I didn't really dream that I'd actually be a farmer. Actually own a farm myself, but somehow through persistent hard work and love for what I was doing, a little luck, suddenly one day it just kind of fell together for me. Without really trying. But one of the reasons I'm telling the story today, because I want to encourage others to take up agricultural work. It's really not that hard to get a job on a farm, and especially if you show up there at harvest time. Farmers are always stressed out. They want as many people they can out there. And especially the way they're cracking down on all the undocumented workers these days, I think it'd be easier than ever to get a job. And there's always the WOLF program, the Employing Workers on Organic Farms, or I say what is now, it's Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms. And that's a good place if you want to volunteer. And also there's lots of farm apprenticeship programs out there, which is a good place to get started if you need to get a little experience. So if you're young, you've got a good back and a strong desire to work hard, sustainable agriculture is a really good thing to get into. Anyway, and I'm not the only one with a story like this. There's a whole lot of people like me out there who wanted to grow food for a living and just jumped into it and found a way to make it work. For a long time, the number of small farms in America was on the decline. Then this organic food movement kicked in, and now there's more and more all the time. as farmers, we have to fill out an agricultural census once every 5 years. And the results from this last one was that there were 50,000 new farmers. That's 10,000 new farms every year. And a lot of these are small sustainable farms. So I think we're really in the stages of a peaceful agrarian revolution. That's a revolution where everybody benefits and nobody gets hurt. The heyday of the industrial era is over in this country, and it's time to switch to a new paradigm. And the agrarian lifestyle seems like a good vision for the future. This is what our founding fathers had in mind for us. We need a new agrarian society based on a large number of small sustainable farms and gardens. Now, this isn't really a crazy idea or anything. This is the way we've done it for thousands of years. Only until recently we've got these big mega farms. And there's really no reason why we couldn't go back to doing it that way again. This is the opposite of the industrial revolution, where everybody left the farms and went to the country. Left the farms and went to the city, I mean. And so this organic farm movement, this organic food movement comes along not a second too soon. This time of post-industrial collapse, returning to agrarian-based society might be our only real option. It's been so exciting watching this whole organic food revolution take root and grow right in front of our eyes. I say our revolution because anyone who's ever bought organic and sustainably grown food is a part of it. In fact, this is definitely a consumer-based movement. Every time you buy food at a store, you're casting a vote for sustainable agriculture or a conventional type of agriculture. And this is a vote that's really paid attention to. Sales from organic went from $1 billion in 1990 to $26.7 billion last year. So this is proof positive that at least a segment of society is moving forward in a positive direction, and there still may be hope for the human race on this planet after all. So when you buy sustainably grown food, you're not only getting something that tastes better and is healthier for you and healthier for the planet, you're also investing in a more secure food system for future generations. Food security is a big issue, especially now with so many people. First and foremost, we want there to be enough food for ourselves and for the people who come after us. Industrial agriculture can really crank out the produce, but the way they're doing it is in no way sustainable or responsible. The soil is being destroyed, the waterways are being polluted, and who knows what the long-term ramifications of these genetically modified crops they're developing now is going to be. And agribusiness uses a lot of fossil fuels, very dependent on that. This type of farming has only been going on since the 40s. And before that, everything was organic. And at one time, 95% of all Americans lived on farms. We all pretty much come from a long line of organic farmers. So back to food security, they say that for financial security, you need to diversify your investment. So you get somebody's in a portfolio for you, they're going to invest in several different types of things, because if one industry goes under, like, you still got some money. So the same thing is true with food security. For total food security, you need diversity. That is a large number of small sustainable farms and gardens growing a great diversity of open pollinated fruits and vegetables in a sustainable way. Not giant monocrop farms growing Terminator GMC, genetically modified seeds with chemicals and other conventional methods. In the past, farmers always would collect their seeds and plant them for or a portion of them, and for planting next year. But today, with these industrial-sized mega farms planting hybrid or GM Terminator seeds that won't produce, there's a major famine waiting to happen. What if, because of war or economic collapse or natural disaster, what if these biotech seed companies are unable to provide seed? It's not a real good scenario. But the best way to be secure in your food source, of course, is by growing your own organic garden. When you plant an organic garden, remember, try to plant those open pollinated seeds. It's like I said, those you can collect and year after year and replant them. You can even pass them down through generations if you find something you really like. There's an interesting thing happening in Cuba right now. Back in the early 90s, when the USSR collapsed, they had to stop providing petroleum to Cuba. And so first thing Castro did was go out and buy 1 million bicycles so people could get around okay, but they still didn't have fuel for their tractors or petroleum for their chemicals. So what they did was they turned over all vacant parcels of land to people for organic gardens. And this seems to have worked. Now today I understand that people do have a secure, sustainable food system.